Okay, so we start. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to all the viewers from all over Europe, as we just said, and the world, actually. We are very grateful of this diversity we have achieved. So we start this, we call this an Isegoria session. Isegoria is a Greek word, and this means equality in speaking, so that everybody gets the same time to speak and express their opinion and gets heard. So with that in mind, we organize this session today and another session on Sunday. This is a members initiative, something that started from DM25 members. And our goal, what we aim at, is to give the space to all the candidates, the CC candidates, to present their standpoint and their perspective and their views as they run for the CC. And what will they do, and how will they make DM25 even better? We want to see all the CC interact with each other live, and why not answer questions? So we welcome questions from attendees from Zoom and YouTube. So this is the very first time we do it. So we ask for your patience on any miscalculations we had. And let me state it one more time. This is very important because this is something that comes from the base of the movement, and it is by no means aiming at replacing current procedures for people running in the CC. This was organized by members, and we want to see and hear from you, the candidates, so we can have a more informed vote. Today we're joined by Nicolas from DSC Lille, Rosanna from DSC Göttingen, Simona Simona, I forgot. You're in Italy. What DSC?
I'm Bologna DSC.
Bologna DSC. And Ioannis from Thessaloniki. And Alex from Belgrade, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Okay, so Emma and I will be trying to moderate. We are all adults in the room, so we won't be any punishing. As I said, we have a second Isegoria session on Sunday with other candidates, and we have been trying really hard to reach and bring together all candidates. So any CC candidates that we have not yet reached, or people who have not yet made their candidacy public, we welcome them to join and talk with us on Sunday, or even on a third or fourth session. Now, before we begin listening from the candidates, we would like to truly thank all the members of DM25 who made this possible today. We would like to thank the CC, the German NC, the Dutch NC, the French NC, the UK NC, and all the DSCs that helped and contributed to this effort. So the way we have structured this is as follows. We will have 1-2 minutes for each candidate to present themselves and their perspective on what DM25 has achieved so far, what the situation is after the elections. And then we will be discussing today 2 main topics. First, the Green New Deal, and second, the internal structure, the inner workings of DM25. We have some questions, but prepared some questions. We will ask the candidates, but we want to hear from the viewers at the Zoom and YouTube to hear your questions and have the candidates answer them. And as a reminder, this is not a competition. We do not want the candidates to fight with one another. It's just a friendly discussion to see what their perspective is and where we want DM25 to go. So, Emma, do you want to add something?
Just maybe to say that it's a great democratic opportunity given to all candidates, because some of them have never been really seen on the radars for many reasons, and it's the opportunity for everyone to be seen today and to be experienced live. And I think it's a good way to democratize the movement and for the candidates to reach out to all Demers. And I'm very happy about this opportunity to be part of it and to listen to all of you tonight. Thank you for being there.
Yeah, great. Thank you to all the candidates who joined. So let's start with 1 or maximum 2 minutes of presenting yourself. So let's start with the order they are presented to screen. So Nicolas, do you want to go first?
Fine. So I'm Nicolas Dessaux. I live in Lille, where I was born, in the north of France, just next to the Belgian border. And I'm one of the coordinators of DSC Lille. I was also one of the candidates for the European Spring list in France. So I'm a long-time activist. I'm sorry, but I'm 47 now, and I've been an activist since the age of 14. So I think it's a good opportunity to use that experience at a bigger level. I already had an experience in organizing at international level because I was involved in solidarity with the Middle East progressive, mainly in Iraq and Iran, for a long time. But most of my activity as a political and trade unionist has been in France until now. And I want to share that experience at a bigger level. I think I had a lot of questions. I see the list of 25 questions about what we should change and make better in Gen 25 and so on. And I think we must first focus on how we address the society, how we change things. And the way we organize is very important, but we need to focus on the outside of Gen 25. That's what I wanted to see first.
Unmute. Yeah, I have to unmute myself. Great, thanks. Alex.
Hi, I'm Aleksandar Novakovic. I'm from Belgrade, Serbia, and I'm a member of Belgrade DSC. I'm a historian and dramatist, and I'm also co-coordinator of the thematic DSC, Peace and International Policy, which was known as Military and International Policy before that. We changed our name. But basically, what I'm trying to achieve, what I'm trying to do, and what is the basic thing that drove me to become a CC candidate is putting geopolitical, geostrategical questions in the focus of my work, because we have economic program, as you know, but we still don't have that pillar that is very much needed indeed. So that is the sole, not the only one, but the main purpose why I did it, because our thematic DSC is newly founded. We have many great, beautiful people working there, and I want to facilitate, to help, to enrich our program with the new pillar and with all other things that I have basically done and I'm trying to do, because I wrote many articles here and I participated in many actions. I have never been a member of any party or movement, but however, during 1990s and 2000s, I took part in many protests and in many civil initiatives. So DM is my very first movement. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't pass the number of minutes, so thank you very much.
No, great. Rosanna, hi.
Hi, my name is Rosanna. I'm 23 years old, and I'm from the DSC Göttingen, which I have founded last year in November, and now it is one of the most active DSCs in Germany. And yeah, I'm a part of DM since 2017, where I first participated in an event in Berlin, where I am from. And Yeah, so what am I doing? I'm a student still, university student. I'm studying political science, sociology, and cultural anthropology. And actually now I'm writing my bachelor thesis, so it's like in the end of the studies. And yeah, I'm since a couple of years, I'm quite active in European politics. So I would say since 8 years or something. And yeah, I was a very active member of the Young European Federalists, which is a non-partisan youth movement in Europe. And there I gained a lot of knowledge on political activism and board work and so on. And I realized that lobbying is quite fun, and especially for topics like the Green New Deal, we have to build up more alliances, and we have to bring more members together to get active. We have to empower our women. We have to be a more feminist movement. And yeah, so that's what are the reasons why I'm like a part of this election. How much time do I have left?
I think we're good for now. Yeah.
Well, all other stuff I will tell you later.
Yeah. So Simona.
I had a mosquito that distracted me. So I'm from Italy, Bologna, and I was a member of a national collective, Italian National Collective. And I joined DM at the very beginning, since it was very clear for me that none of our issues and problems can be dealt with at a national level or under an European level. I've been a member of Sinistra Ecologia e Libertà Party in Italy, which I left in 2016. And before and during this political participation, I was involved in Altra Europa with Tsipras party for the last European elections. I followed with passion what happened in Greece in that in 2015 summer, and well, it made so much clear to me that austerity cannot be fought at Greek level, but not neither at Italian level or so. That's why I joined DM, and what? Oh.
Okay. No.
Inside DM, I'm very concerned with organizational issues and internal democracy issues.
Okay.
Not just because I think. Sorry.
Yeah, we will have the opportunity to discuss internal democracy later, so that we keep on time. So, Ioannis. Thanks, Simona. Ioannis, can you hear us?
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Sorry, I have a lot of interruptions. I'm not sure if I haven't heard anybody, but if you hear me, I can continue.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm Ioannis Manomenidis from Greece. I'm a retired Air Force officer, and I have plenty of time now. I started in DM, I think, from the beginning, because I was watching Varoufakis as a minister because of his ecological ideas, first of all, because I was a member of the Green Party at that time from 2012, and I resigned when Syriza got in power because I thought it was a very populistic party at that time. But I was watching Varoufakis and his struggle in Europe. And I think that, and I understood all what happened in these meetings, and this is the reason that I joined DM, because it was clear, and this was the realization from this time, that it was clear that democracy in Europe is not working. So this is what I feel very important. DM in its original understanding, that we have to fight for democracy. Obviously, I agree with everything else, the Green New Deal, for example, because I am green in my other beliefs, but I don't think that this orientation that we have changed is the good for the initial purpose. Because we are against other parties that are not ecological and maybe they are democratic. So we are losing our right in this sense. And this is my understanding, and this is why I decided to participate in the CC, not to influence, but because I see that there's something that we are diverting from our initial purpose, and we have to discuss with the members whether we should continue as a political party, DM, not Mera 25 that is elected and wants to save Greece from debt. This is something I think totally irrelevant with DM. But DM has a lot of work to do, and we have only 6 years remaining without being in the European Parliament. I think we failed in this task, and we have to rearrange our effort for this purpose.
Okay, so I think your point is a great one to start talking about the first point of our discussion, which is the Green New Deal. So let me follow up exactly on what you said.
Maybe if I can,
Emma, yes.
I may interrupt 1 second. Brice from Luxembourg was unfortunately not able to join tonight. He had planned to join you, but unfortunately someone died in his family, and he's apologizing for not attending tonight. He's going to try to attend on Sunday, because he's also very motivated by changing things in the CC and trying to follow on different issues. So apologies from his side, but we understand why he's not able to make it tonight. Sorry.
Yeah, no, great. Thanks for pointing this out. So, Ioannis, you said that we have to balance between the Green New Deal, the importance of saving our environment, and democratizing Europe. As a member of the CC, what your ideas and thoughts will be on how we move forward balancing those two big issues?
Yes, I think that undemocratic Europe will neither take care of the environment, nor for Greece or for any other weak economy, if there will not be solidarity in a non-democratic Europe. Therefore, the only important purpose is to continue for democratizing Europe, because there are parties, political parties, for the environment. We can decide to become Greens, to join the European Green Party and continue as a new DM. We may change the name or we may not change the name. Nobody will understand us. Nobody has understood the change that we did. But I think we are diverted from our initial purpose. We are not making clear that Europe is sick with this situation, they are not making decisions, the citizens are not making the decisions. The European Parliament is very weak in the decision making. And also the European Commission is run by the lobbies. Also the most important decision-making process is through the meeting of the prime ministers, the Council of Europe. So in this Council of Europe, only the majorities of the government participate. The minorities, most of the parties, so the political parties, are absent from the decision making in the Council, in the European Council. So the decisions are always from the majorities, and a big majority, important country in Europe, Germany. So Europe is run by the government of Germany. This is the fact. The European Parliament is not powerful at all. So I think this is very important that we started this process, and we have to continue in this. This is my point, my perspective.
Okay, I will.
And we have to make it, to communicate this with dear members, and this is obviously the role of.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let me turn to Simona. Simona, in your video, you take this logic one step further and talk about the Progressive International and its role in pushing for policy changes outside of Europe. Now, regarding the Green New Deal, the US also has a version of the Green New Deal that has been introduced by several progressives here. What do you think the role of the CC would be in coordinating this Progressive International, promoting the Green New Deal worldwide, within Europe and worldwide?
Well, the main difference between a US Green New Deal and DM Green New Deal is about how you finance it. In an American version, it's financed by public spending, by printing money. It's based on modern money theory. This is not possible in European case because due to our financial organization, it would lead to inflation and to disequilibrium in finances. So that's why our proposal is and Ioannis' proposal is that of a new Bretton Woods, which means all over the world we shall spend money on green investments and in dealing with the climate change. So this is the international perspective on Green New Deal. We always aim to do what we can in our conditions. So the inversion of the Green New Deal foresees a debt. Foresees a debt that will go on private banks in Europe, and it's a second choice in face to a new Bretton Woods. Another difference that is very important to me between the two Green New Deals is that ours is more comprehensive. the US version just foresees a job guarantee. So everybody is guaranteed a job that is suitable and sorry, there's somebody messaging me and this distracts me. So
okay. Yeah, I'll have to stop you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The difference that is very important to me is that we foresee also a universal dividend and not just a job guarantee. Sorry.
Okay, great. No, great points. Thanks. Rosanna, undoubtedly, you bring one of the youngest voices in the movement and hopefully in the new coordinating collective. And there has been enormous pressure from young people worldwide recently on environmental issues, a lot of strikes. From your perspective, what do DiEM25 and the coordinating collective should do to make those voices heard? And hopefully, as a member of the new CC, what would your efforts will be to incorporate these voices in the movement or create new alliances?
Hi. Yes. So how can I say it? I'm also part of the Fridays for Future movement. So last weekend, I participated in a summer congress in Germany where 1,600 activists from Fridays for Future were participating, and we discussed a lot, and I told them about DiEM and so on. But this should be also the task for all the local DSCs to build local alliances with their local Fridays for Future movement or something like that. And as CC should work on bigger alliances. And the problem is that most of the Fridays for Future people I talked to last weekend didn't know anything about DiEM25, because DiEM25 is more for adults and less for children, and most of them were children and they didn't know because they didn't participate in the European elections. But yes, so my dream would be to include them somehow in our national electoral wings, to maybe together with other parties build an electoral wing where they are part of, and also other citizens movements like Sea-Watch and so on would be part of. Yeah, but I think we should just, as a CC, it should be our task to go to them and talk to them and present them our Green New Deal, because at the moment they just don't know about it. So when it is published officially, we could take it and talk to them on the local level, but also on the bigger level, European-wide or international, because it's also a very international movement and we can learn from each other.
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. Thanks. Alex, coming to you. In your opening statements, you said this, that you're involved in thematic DSCs regarding militarization and the army, if I should say correctly.
No. If I may correct you, Peace and International Policy. This is the name of thematic DSC.
Yeah, okay.
And we are dealing not only with military A-bombs or NATO, but also with diplomacy and relationship of future Europe with other countries, okay, etc. So it is much more geopolitics. Sorry.
Geopolitics. Great. Thanks for, sorry for not getting this right. So what my point is that there have been connections on geopolitics and climate change. And there have been people arguing that there is an underlying dynamic connecting these two, which is imperialism, neoliberalism, and global capitalisms that harms particularly the countries of the global south more than the countries of the global north. Do you see this connection, and do you think that the Green New Deal there is a connection between the Green New Deal and the anti-capitalist or anti-imperialism movements?
Of course. How much time do I have for starters?
2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. First thing first, of course, it does have connection with it. It's based on a simple fact that when you look at those countries that are impoverished and ruined by the war, they look like a surface of the moon. Libya, Syria, Afghanistan. The wars and the destruction cause huge ecological problems, and therefore people have to leave their homes. So basically, yes, we have, and this is the problem that I'm focusing on, we have Green New Deal, which is a great thing. And we have also our new pillar on refugees, on refugee crisis, but we don't have the pillar that deals with imperialism, with brutal force of European countries, ruining those countries, causing ecological problems, causing huge devastations, and therefore causing those people to leave their countries. So we have to cover both of those fields, not just one field. And this is where the story about anti-imperialism steps in, basically, because we need to create the pillar that will be, as it states, we have, manifesto where you can see we are anti-imperialist movement. It stands in our manifesto, but it has to be written. It has to be pillar and part of the program. We didn't have that part of the program on European elections, and we need to have that part of the program for the next elections, wherever they may occur. So basically, yes, I see there is a connection. And of course, by the way, when we're talking about the Green New Deal, I see another switch, if I have enough time. Okay, I will finish just within 20 seconds. And this is this. We have increased military budgets in all European countries. For God's sakes, even Ireland and Sweden, neutral countries, are raising their military budgets. And military industries are working like never before, even in neutral countries. Even in my country, which is neutral and almost third world country, based on Balkans, we also have big military expenditures. And that means unhealthy industries, and that means militarization, and that means also ruining of the ecosystem and helping other people ruin the ecosystem by selling them arms. Like we sold, Serbia sold, and many other countries sold, Germany sold their arms to Saudi Arabia. And you see the Yemen. So I rest my case.
Some great points. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And Hannah, let me turn to Nicolas to hear your thoughts on the Green New Deal. And if I remember correctly, I think you've said in the beginning that you have experience in movement organizing. So what do you think DiEM25 should do, and what the role of the CC should be in making this Green New Deal become a reality and become the center of the political agendas across Europe?
We'll say 2 points. One about politics and the other about organization. First, about politics. I think when we discuss about the Green New Deal, we focus about the states, the politics of Europe, the politics of member states, and so on. This is very important. But we live in a capitalist society where the basis of the economy is not only the state. Obviously, enterprise plays a big role. And I think, as Democrats, we should also have a good focus about the enterprise. Are they managed for profit of a handful of shareholders, like they are currently, or can we rule them democratically with the workers, with a democracy in the workplaces? I think we cannot have a true democracy in the city, a true political democracy, if we don't have a workplace democracy. I won't engage a long debate about this, but I think it's a very important point, and we must focus more about it. We have debates about this issue. We have points in the European Spring Program, even it's a small point, but it is there. We must focus more about it, and we must explain clearly what's the links between this workplace democracy and the Green New Deal. We can't allow shareholders, capitalists, to destroy our climate, to destroy our planet. So the links will be very clear. It's interesting because our allies in the Progressive International, like Bernie Sanders, are open to these ideas. Corbyn is open to these ideas, and we are open, but in our public speeches, public debates, it's not so clear, and it should be clearer. The second point is about the organization. We got a very big force, which is the number of our members, more than 100,000 members in Europe. That's huge, that's very huge. But when we look at the reality of Gen 25, how many people vote in internal votes, how many people take part to DSC, it's around 6,000. Sometimes I met people, even in my town. I live in a small suburb town. I met some people who are members of Gen 25, and I don't know them. That's really a problem. So our main focus in the next year, the focus for the city, is to organize this huge membership force to make a huge activist force. And the link with the Green New Deal is very clear. It will make it very effective.
Okay, we will come back to this point of organizing, activating the base, and making sure that DSCs are empowered. So I think we've heard from everyone from the around the Green New Deal. So who wants to add something more or comment on what was said? Emma.
Yeah, maybe briefly. I heard, Nicolas, that you were a member of unions, and how do you see the chance, or do you think that creating links with the unions in all the countries could help DM to develop this part of the program, the Green New Deal, and in trying to work together, as you mentioned it earlier, in trying to rule companies a little bit better to enforce the environment measures.
Yes. Currently, when you see what is doing the European Confederation of Trade Unions, their focus is more and more about these 2 points, about the just transition, climatic transition, and workplace democracy. This is 2 points they focus on. The problem we have as trade unionists is really at the basis. Nobody cares about the European Trade Union Confederation. So that's a problem we have too in Gen 25. Currently, we don't know how to link with these unions because we could try to link better with the European Confederation of Trade Unions, and it would be a good step. It will help, but we also need to organize our members of Gen 25 who are also members of trade union to have our own internal links between trade unionists and help organize campaigns to help to make sure that the campaigns who have started in one country can go to another. Because currently, the main problem we have as workers is that we're still isolated, capitalist-made. There, Europe, and it's very effective. But workers, Europe, still have to be made 60 years after.
Okay, thank you.
I see Ioannis wants to add something. Ioannis, can you hear us? We cannot hear you. Let's go to Rosanna. Do you want to add something on this? What are your thoughts?
I'm sorry, I just didn't heard the last minute because I was not at my desk.
Okay, so
yeah.
We have a question from the audience based on Nicolas' points. Do you think that the CC should promote making events with unions, especially around the Green New Deal, or should we not go down that road?
I think that this is very important to include them and to bring unions together internationally. I think, yeah, that should be part of our agenda. So, yeah, but I'm not an expert in this, I must say.
Okay, Alex, Simona, do you want to add something while we're still trying to hear back from Ioannis?
Yes, I absolutely think we should unite with trade unions and with all other movements and social forces that are around us. I think DiEM should be a catalyst for all social forces and movements in Europe, because our strength is to be comprehensive. All movements and trade unions too are on one specific point, but climate change, unemployment, refugees crisis cannot be dealt on a specific way. They all are problems that are intertwined, that are connected. So we must approach them in a connected way, and this is the point in promoting DiEM as different from trade unions, Friday for Future, Extinction Rebellion, and so on and so on. But we must absolutely cooperate with them.
Okay. Yeah, great point.
Can I say something? You asked me if I want to say something.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to say one thing, that yes, of course, I am just puzzled. Why didn't we start with this question before? We never mentioned trade unions for 3 years in DiEM25. So maybe this is the good way to start thinking about that, because trade unions are the basis of many of political movements and parties, including, as you know, UK Labour started as basically union of unions, or federation of unions, as you know. So basically, yes, I completely agree, and Europe needs to have workers' unions on our side. And one more thing, it is just practical. I finished with the talk. Those questions coming on the right part of the screen, when will we answer them?
We have questions on the right part of the screen, also on YouTube. So
chat, yes, on chat, yes.
Some of them, and Yeah. Do you want to answer that now?
Well, maybe I have one simple suggestion. If when we finish this round of conversation, we can go through questions and answer.
Yeah, just finish your point, and we can ask. I'm coordinating.
Okay.
So yeah, let's go there. So DiEM25 has a platform, a strategy, the Green New Deal for Europe, and with goals and 10 pillars, very well, my opinion, very well defined. And what should we do as DiEM25, and what the role of the CC should be on taking it at the grassroots level? And is this a point what the CC can use to activate, attract new members, and to do movement building based on the Green New Deal for Europe? Who wants to respond? Rosanna. You mentioned that we need to make our voices heard to the younger generations. So that does it mean that we also go grassroots with the Green New Deal for Europe? And how do we do this?
Well, the Green New Deal is like it's built up by alliances on the local level. So alliances with parties, with other movements, and so on. And how do we in the CC would like encourage them, to empower them to do these alliances and to bring more, like to make it more public and so on. I would say that we need to have, we need to have some kind of, like with the assemblies or something, workshops or webinars or something where like the local levels get informed about that. We have to empower our DSCs, but yeah, I'm just beginning to read the Green New Deal paper because it's quite long, and so I only read half of it, but it's really worthwhile reading it through. And I think there are many points in it which is the same as what Fridays for Future and so on are asking for. So, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm just a little nervous.
So Manuela from YouTube asks on this that DiEM25 is popular mostly among highly educated urban people. What you would do to improve class diversity in DiEM and make it appealing for people from more disadvantaged working class background. And let's keep this around the Green New Deal. How do we promote the Green New Deal to those who do not have higher education?
It's up to anybody to answer, or
yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'll burn my answer about Zach Exley, but the point is educated people are an avant-garde, people said in former times, which means education allows us to see more forward, and the point is there is millions of people just waiting for a revolution, and if your proposal is radical enough and clear enough, you can call them to action. I think the only way to take the Green New Deal to people is to put it in action and to to translate it in local issues and in material issues, and to ask people to help us in promoting local facts that are a translation of our proposal. I'm not sure I explained very well what I mean, but this is what I mean.
Ioannis, you're back. Can you hear us? We cannot hear you. We cannot see you. Nicolas, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I think that's a good question, because I ask myself every day, and it was the same at the time of the European spring election, the European election, because it's very difficult. I live in a small suburban town, popular neighborhood around Lille, and sometimes I ask myself, how can I speak about Gen25 and what we are doing to my neighbors? And it's not so easy. We are several members here in the town, but if we want to grow, we must be very, very going to the locals and trying to grasp as much as possible as sparkling of local power through the local elections, through the collectives, through the committees, and so on. But we must to challenge this issue. The reflection we have in our DSC, because we are discussing about the incoming local elections in France, is we must not focus not so much about the green ideas, but health ideas, how people feel better in their life. Because there is a lot of people in our town, a lot of people who suffer from the climate issue and from the pollution issue, kids who are dying because of pollution and so on. But people don't think it about ecological issue. They think they're ill. We must speak about health. And that's the key of our reflection. Try to because we know that one of the key issues when we ask people in every poll, what are the key issues for you? It's health, unemployment, all this very daily life issue. We must start from the daily life. That's the key point. But that's not so easy. We can say it, but doing it really in our communication, in the way we speak from our ideas, in our videos, in our posters and so on, is not so easy. We have to focus a lot about it.
Okay, great point. Ioannis, are you with us?
Yes, but without video.
Okay, I think we can hear you. So what are your thoughts on how we make Green New Deal?
But I have lost everything that you have discussed up now. What's the issue now? What do we discuss?
What's your opinion on how do we take the Green New Deal to the grassroots level?
Oh, yes. I said from the beginning that I disagree with changing DM to a political party. And although I don't disagree with the Green New Deal, I think that everybody knows that it started since 2008, I think, from the New Economics Foundation. We didn't exist at that time. I think that the Green New Deal, in general understanding, is run in Europe by the European Greens. And I don't think that we should replace or take the role of this party because we have something more important to say. So yes, I fully agree with the Green New Deal, but it's not our job to do. I think we have to emphasize on democracy and also to put emphasis on democracy in our party. I mean, with participation of to run the DSCs in the decision making and in discussions. At the moment, I think we have only votings from members, that there is no discussion from most of them. Very few people I see that participate in the forum. I don't know if they are members, the rest of them. I don't know if I move to another issue, but I think this is the most important. Yes, because it's democracy our subject, not the Green New Deal, I think.
Okay, and we will be talking about the inner workings of DiEM25 in a couple of minutes. But before we move there, like I want to ask, like, for something for like the CC candidates, like let's say that you get elected, and what will be your 2 or 3 points that you want to see improving, implementing within DiEM25 in the first couple of months as members of the CC? Rosanna.
What will?
Simona.
Okay.
Women.
Okay, so let's start. I'm not really sure how it works out, but I would like encourage the CC to be more transparent, to like film all our meetings.
Let's focus on the Green New Deal for now.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So what was the question then?
Yeah, what will you do, like regarding the Green New Deal and what we have been discussing now? What will you want to do as member of the CC within the first couple of months, 6 months, let's say?
Okay. Yeah, I want to do much more lobbying for the Green New Deal. I'm part of the group in the next week. So until now, I only did an onboarding session, and yeah, I think it's more important. It's important to tell other movements about it and to bring them all together, because we don't really have publicity for it right now. So we have to talk more to European Parliament, to the members of the European Parliaments, and yeah, there I have some contacts. It's also important to speak to the local members of parliaments and so on. It's really important to do some lobbying and do good to write articles and something for the press and so on. So yeah, just much more publicity for it. And now I don't see that much, only for the American version, but not for the European.
Alex?
Well, my idea is that we need to do 2 things parallel. First thing first, we need to find those few parties and movements that have MEPs in European Parliament, that these parties, these movements, have supported the Green New Deal. For example, you have Plaid Cymru, Welsh party, that has supported the Green New Deal, and few other movements and parties that incline to do that. So one of the things is, if we don't have MEPs in European Parliament, then people who are already MEPs could swing to our side. But this is not the main point. The main point is that we also need to do this thing. If we want to draw attention to Green New Deal, and everything is connected, believe me, we need to be more publicly seen. If we want to be more publicly seen, we need to activate members and to make protests, meetings. This is the only way to be seen by public anyway, or to draw all those sleepy members, I call them sleepers, 124,000 people that don't participate actively. And another thing that is very potent and that we forget about is that we need to think about popularizing Green New Deal in a good part of the continent that doesn't actually has DSCs. For example, we don't have DSCs in Baltic republics. We don't have DSC in Ukraine, in Belarus. We have only one DSC in Serbia. So basically, I want to see them popularized. And another thing, in Turkey also, of course, but we need to have them popularized, and not only that, but adapted to local economics. We need new thematic DSC that will popularize the GND in not so developed, let's put it that way, European countries. Thank you.
And I think you just answered Dynamic's question on bringing the Green New Deal to the average citizens and grow a more diverse base.
Yes, basically you have to be with workers, you have to demonstrate with them. So yes, thank you, that's it.
Nicolas?
I think that's absolutely a pity that Brice is not here, because we had a very interesting discussion a few weeks ago. You know, we had a cross-DSC event in Luxembourg with people from Lille, from some Belgium DSC, and from the various DSC of Luxembourg. And we discussed a lot about the tactics and the strategy of the mobilization about climate. Because the point where Brice struck us, and I agree fully with him, is that in some towns in Europe, like Luxembourg, like Brussels, we have concentrated a lot of place of power. And when you organized a movement, a blockade in these places of power, you have a very strong effect about it. And we can see already that some of them, some of the banks and so on, are changing their politics toward climatic issue because they are under pressure of this mobilization. This is the first point. We must organize the work between the DSC for this mobilization can gather not only the activists of the town or surrounding towns, but from all over Europe, focusing on one point, converging and organizing the climatic movement in the country, in the town, to make converge people in one place of power and put a big pressure on it. So I think this tactical issue is very important, and it's important the CC is involved in that. This is very good to have cross-DSC event and to organize at horizontal level between us, but I think this is also a task of the CC to make this more and more effective. And this will affect also the way people in the climate movement see DiEM25. Currently, we can see that in our town. The people know us, they know our activists, but they are still a bit defiant. Are we a movement? Are we a party? What are we saying? It's not so clear for them. If it's clear, we have a good capability of organizing movement across Europe. We will be a force as well in this movement.
Okay, yeah, we will keep talking about what we are as DiEM25. But let's, Rosanna, I'll come back to you. Let's go to Simona on the couple of things that she wants to see the CC doing and will try to do as a member of the CC in the first months regarding the Green New Deal.
Just do what its name says, to coordinate. I think it would be a great strength for us if we had coordinated campaigns all over Europe. All DSCs could be nucleus of forces that entail the same issues, the same piece of our Green New Deal, and promote it at a local level, while coordinating by the CC and together and networking by themselves. What the CC should do, in my opinion, is to give the la of the orchestra, to tell, okay, now everybody on this point of the Green New Deal at a European level, and coordinate yourselves in promoting this idea, this part of the Green New Deal.
Okay.
And
no.
Okay.
No, you're finished. Rosanna, quickly, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just want to add something. Also to add to Simona, on the 20th of September, there's a global climate strike, like in almost every city of the world. And there, we as DMS can, wherever we are, wherever we live, be part of the demonstration. We can raise our voices at the, we can just go there and talk about the European Green New Deal. We can have banners. We should have like flyers prepared by the Green New Deal group, and we can also give speeches there and present our Green New Deal in short, simple sentences, and that would be a nice action for all of us to unite our local DSCs in a European-wide campaign or something would be an option. So it's the 20th of, and also many worker unions and so on, they are also taking part. So
that's a great point you raised. And Ioannis, before we move on, do you want to add something on the Green New Deal?
What I wanted to say is, Aleksandar, I don't know if I pronounce correctly your name, said we have to connect with European Union, European Parliament MPs interested in the Green New Deal. I think this is the point that we have to understand. If we wish to change to a Green Party, we have to do it with the European Green Party. They are the people that are elected, and we have not elected. We failed in the election. We have to realize, to make our self-criticism, what was the reason that we failed. And I think we failed because we changed our role. We discuss now how we will move all the DSCs in the streets for Green New Deal. But first, the DSCs don't exist actually in most of the countries. And in the European Union, there is a Green Party that exists. Only in Greece we have elected. You know, yes, we can say that we are a Green Party in Greece, but we forget our purpose. This is my point, and I don't understand how the 7 of us are discussing the 6 of us for Green New Deal, and Aleksandar said about our military, or I don't know, policies in the world. It is not our point. We are losing our heart in this fight, I think. Sorry.
Okay, thanks for making your point clear. No, this is very important. One question from YouTube, I think this goes to Rosanna. Is it better to lobby where we could get the money for the Green New Deal rather than the Green New Deal itself? People in general want more sustainable energy. So I think the question is about where do we campaign? Is it like more lobbying or is it more grassroots, if I understand this correctly?
I think we need both to have enough publicity. We just take everyone who wants to get involved and do lobbying and do grassroots stuff, because all other movements are also based on grassroots movements or on the local level. So we just need both, and the CC would then rather do the lobbying on European level, and the local DCs would then do their lobbying and building alliances and talk to people and explain the stuff on the local level. So I don't know if I got the question right, but yeah. So
Great.
I think we need both. Yeah.
Emma, do you want to add something before we move to the next?
Yeah, maybe very briefly. What I'm hearing right now is that DiEM is not another Green Party. That's what I'm hearing from the candidates tonight, and I think it's correct. We also have other points we have to defend. Tonight we're spending half of the time on the Green New Deal, and the other half on DiEM itself, the internal organization. What I'd like to hear from the candidates is so I heard Ioannis setting his points very clearly, but I'd like to hear from the other candidates how they see the specificity of the Green New Deal and DiEM in the green fight. What makes DiEM different in the green battle from I would say more classical green parties or green movements? What would you say is our specificity, and what should we put more clearly towards the audience and the members we want to reach out to?
Mm-hmm. Well, climate justice isn't just...
Let's keep this short because we have to move on. So, yeah. Rosanna.
Okay. So climate justice isn't just about ecological stuff, but it's also on, like we as DiEM are putting this together. So climate justice isn't possible without economic justice and social justice. So that's what we as DiEM say all the time. And some green parties also do that, but not all of them. And also we want to change the system. We criticize capitalism much more than other green parties will do. And because we see that climate justice isn't possible in a capitalist world when you think it to the end. So I think that would be the position of DiEM25 if I hope you are all the same opinion. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I have nothing to add to this.
Alex, Nicolas, any brief comments? Yeah, Alex. No.
Sorry, I was mute. So basically, yes, I totally agree with both of them. And I would also add that the main difference also that people forget is that many green parties have made a compromise with those capitalists. And not only that, but they also voted for bombing and destroying civilians in many countries outside of Europe, in Asia, in Africa and elsewhere, as we know. So, and DiEM25 is, of course, against such brutality acts. So basically, yes, this is one reason. And second, economical, ecological, and geopolitical in one. Basically, that's the difference between DiEM25 and many green parties. Not all of them, but for example, German Green Party, you could agree, definitely yes. So yes, thank you.
And Nicolas?
Yeah, same. Look what happened with our friends in the United States of America. Aleksandar Ocasio-Cortez, when she's campaigning, speaking about the workers' rights, about the workers' families, workers' lives. And in the parliament, she's defending strongly the Green New Deal. So the problem is we must be clear about what we are planning to do about the Green New Deal and about all the ecological and climate issue. But remember, for a lot of people, it's very, very abstract. We must make it very concrete and explain clearly what is it in the worker's life. And we must focus on a popular basis. We must, that was one of the questions sooner. Okay, currently we're a movement of big town intellectual classes. If we want to grow and become a popular movement, a workers' movement, we must focus more and more about it. It doesn't mean we want change and stop to be green. We'll be the real green because we will bring ecology to all people and not for a small class of people.
Okay, we have many questions we have received. I should apologize to those that we have not have the chance to respond to some of those questions. But
sorry, Ioannis. Who says that we are the Workers' Party? Nicolas said we are the Workers' Party. We are the Democrats' Party.
Okay, we will go to that. But first, to finish with the Green New Deal, there are some unanswered questions. So I know that the forum is not may not be the ideal place to ask them, but we will have to ask the candidates to answer those questions in the forum. So I think we have heard great points on the Green New Deal and very diverse opinions, and I hope all the viewers can make identify good, strong points in the candidates. Now let's move on to the next topic we had decided, which is the inner workings of DiEM25, the internal structure, and the point that just came up between Nicolas and Ioannis, if DiEM25 represents workers or Democrats. But before we start this debate, let's ask some more general questions and hear from everybody what they think about how DiEM25 works, should be, or should not be. Nicolas, I think you had, if I remember correctly, you said in the beginning that DiEM25 lacks, to a certain extent, some internal democracy. And I think I've read on your answers that it lacks, to a certain extent, some transparency. Can you elaborate on that? And what would you do as member of the CC to improve those aspects of our movement?
It's not exactly what I said.
Sorry for
that. I think we're a movement of Democrats, like I said, people who focus on democracy. And this makes us very, very demanding about internal democracy. So when you see the question who came from the forum about the functionment of the CC, as a functionment of the movement, there is a lot of questions about transparency, a lot of questions about how we work. And clearly, the CC must answer this question. It doesn't mean that the previous CC, the current CC, did something bad. I don't think so. Democracy is something very difficult to achieve. It needs a lot of organization. It needs a lot of method. It needs a lot of people involved. That's a point, the very big, important point. If people don't involve in democracy, it don't function. It always turns to bureaucracy. It doesn't matter if you are good or bad people, if you want a bureaucracy or you don't want a bureaucracy. If people let you do, you will do. That's the main problem. It happens in politics. It happens in any organization. So we must answer this question which has been raised and come every day on the forum, on the Facebook groups and so on about how can do it more and more effective and more transparent. What I say is we must be careful not to focus only about that. We must speak to society. We must speak to every people in Europe. And if we are always, like the Greens do, always discussing about how do we speak between us, how do we organize democracy and so on, and forget what is our goal, we will be lost. So we must be careful about that. We can do better, and in my answer at the forum, I make a few proposals or I answer to a few questions, but be careful about this.
Okay. And what will you do specifically as a member of the CC for that?
Specifically, I was very surprised when I discovered that the CC is only 12 members and it's very short, and the numbers of people involved around the CC, the ex-officios in our slang, is very small. I think if each member, like it's organized currently, has a specific task, but around this member and around this task, there is a specific committee. It can be a DSC. We already have the methods to do this, but more people focusing on that task, clearly, it will be far much better organized. We don't have to change anything in our statutes, just in our way of working. It's about method, I think.
Okay. Simona, you cited Zach Exley, and you say that what he said was to organize, and even more organize. So what do you think the role of the CC should be regarding this organization, and how can you push as member of the CC for this organization and even more organizing?
The point in Zach Exley's book is there are many forces in the society that just are waiting for a call for big organizing, not just addressing small parts of society on small issues, but addressing big parts of society about big issues. And so as by the point of view of strictly organizing, the main thing that Zach Exley says is just trust people, give them tools to organize themselves, and allow them to do it, and go to the barns, have a tour of locally, just as Eric did in Greek campaign. We must work. We must go everywhere and connect people. But if I can, I would like to answer to the previous question about internal democracy. That is an issue I think is very important. Democracy is not an idol. It's costly, and it has many trade-offs. Nicolas is right in this, but we need it. We need it just to make DM work. not just because people want to have voice, also for this, but not always people asking for voice are those that has the most important things to say. But we need democracy because we need checks and balances. We need the movement to have the control on what we are doing. Sorry?
Do you think the movement currently has these check and balances, and to what extent? And do you think that it takes improvement? And what improvements does it take?
I think it has not enough balances, checks and balances. Last year, I started a discussion on the forum about do we really need internal democracy, or can we just be an agency promoting our great ideas outwards? There is an issue with the agency model, and it's exactly the fact that the agent can take opportunist choices, and that's why you need to check what is done by the CC and the NCs and so on. And I think DiEM is a very interesting experiment of democracy at an European level, which means a huge level, and with thousands and thousands of members. We need to be grassroots, but to maintain an European connection and coordination. And in this experiment, we tried, sorry if I'm too long, but it's very important to me, this thing. We mixed a representative democracy model that is the CC and the NCs, without recognizing it was representative democracy. So we tried to say, well, no, the CC is not so important. The real decisions are on the all members vote and on the validating council. This is not true, actually. The CC and the NCs take day by day decisions that are very important for the actual life of our movement. So we should recognize this role and put checks and balances on these organs. And we should give much more value, last thing, then I'll be quiet, on the validating council, that is a deliberative democracy model, and it should be the core of our decisional process, internal decisional processes. I'll be quiet.
Thanks. Sorry for interrupting you. Ioannis, you write that we need internal democracy and transparency.
I think.
And if we do not practice, then we cannot implement it in fact. We cannot spread it to other countries and especially across Europe.
I think.
What do you think the state of internal democracy is currently within the movement, and what should be done to improve or keep doing if we're doing something good?
Yes, I think that we lack of internal democracy, especially in the electoral wings, especially in Greece in the Mera 25, but also in DiEM. I see that we all vote, all those that who vote, of course, but in fact, what happens is that they are influenced by the most powerful and the most influential people, and the votings are with a majority of 80 or 90%. This means, and with a very low participation. This means that the people are listening to one opinion And if there is no other opinion, no discussion on this, no alternatives, and the obvious is that the less the majority of the people are voting in favor of this opinion because they don't see any other choice. I think that, for example, we had the voting in Italy. How many of the people in Italy, of the Europeans, know the details for the Italian elections? I think very few. But if I will connect, and anybody from Europe, and he has one choice to do, he will do one choice, probably that is proposed from the most influential person that knows in DM. And the decision will be made from the people that are unaware of the problems of Italy, from all the Europeans. So this is not democracy. So if we don't know something, it is better to say blank, not vote. If we don't know, why to influence in the wrong direction? The people that care and that I personally think that the CC has a role to analyze the situation, like in ancient Athens. The generals, for example, were elected, but the people that were voting were chosen by lottery. So the democracy is to choose by lottery, and this happens in DM. I think we have this situation somehow.
This is exactly the validating council. But I must
yes, this is
correct
what I'm
you.
saying.
We are all invited not to vote when we don't know a particular situation.
So
yes, I think we shouldn't vote when we.
Yeah, I think this.
But I think about the process. Let's return to the process. I think that the CC has to make the analysis, at least one proposal, not only one, and ask yes or no, but at least one proposal, and to ask from all the DSCs to start this discussion on these proposals or to a specific problem. I think the first problem is if we care for democracy in Europe, because we have changed our orientation. All the DSCs has to discuss this, and if everybody says something, not everybody of course, but we have then to analyze how many DSCs has voted or have opinion on one issue, and how many others have on the other side. Maybe to analyze this. This is the job for a more specialist somehow. And then to conclude with voting when we have discussed this, and maybe from people that have participated in the discussions, not from people that were absent from the DSCs and appear just to put a vote.
Okay. So
we have to have responsible voters in democracy, not voting for fun.
Okay. So if your proposals require changing the organizing principles, you would be pushing for changing the organizing principles of the movement as well?
Yes, of course. If we need to change, to improve the rules, of course we have to do it.
Okay.
This is obvious. If we don't change or die is a rule. If we don't change, we'll die.
Okay, let's not hope that if we don't change, we will die. Let's look for some.
No, this is a physical rule. I think it's ecology. If you are useless, you have to die.
Alex. You're muted.
Okay, so basically, I would like to say a few things. Number one, my name is not the name that is written on the screen. My real name is Aleksandar Novakovic. So that is the first answer. The second answer, now I will be really serious. How much time do I have? Really, I'm asking because...
So Simona talked 6 minutes. Nicolas talked about 5 minutes. Ioannis talked about 5 minutes. So yeah.
I have about 5 minutes or less. Okay, I try to speak less. And I'll try to be concise. So basically, what we need in DM are a few things. I am, of course, all for recording of the meetings of the CC. I'm all for being open and transparent about finances, of course. But I have another suggestion. In some countries, that person in office is called ombudsman, in some protector of the rights of the citizens. I don't know, many countries have many different names for the same function. So basically, we need to have one as one of the operatives in CC, the one that will receive ideas, suggestions, and of course, objections of DMers and pass them on to CC. Because we need people who are, as I would call them, liaison officers, you know, people who have the connection to the grassroots directly, so they can mail to them and they can send their objections to them. Because if people have problem with internal democracy, they need to object about that. And if it is so, then the team with this ombudsman or protector of the citizens' rights, as I previously said, or just someone who has the connection with the grassroots, needs to have big team with him. And some people need to volunteer, because your freedom and your democracy doesn't come without responsibility. So basically, those who demand internal democracy should do that. And of course, we need all those liaison officers, not only on the level of the CC, but also on the levels of NCs, also on the levels of course, regional organizations of DSCs, and sometimes in DSCs in smaller countries. So with all that line of communication, we will have basically internal democracy that is much better functioning, and everyone is happy and everyone knows to whom they should send objections or ideas. And we need all those ideas and we need all those objections, because without them, we will lose people who want to do something and to help somehow, and they feel they don't have a chance to do so. That is the basic fact. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's a great point. And you're on 3 minutes. Rosanna.
Okay, so we in Germany, all the DSCs met in Leipzig a few weeks ago, and there we talked about how to structure the organizing principles in the future, because we all saw that we need to make changes during the European elections and so on, and also because of transparency issues, finance issues, because sometimes sometimes local DSCs want to do actions, but they then didn't have the finance for it, and everything was intransparent. So we came up with an idea which I visualized for you. My idea would be that we do. Is it actually the right way around, or is it like mirrored?
I think it's showing good.
Yeah. Okay, so just to explain it a little bit, I don't have much time, so it's maybe easier when you see something. The members are on top here, not the CC. The CC is down there. There. So we should just build up some kind of councils. And I called them federal DM councils, because then we can do that on the regional level and or on the national level, so that we are discussing in the same language. And we have the European level, where every DSC is part of, with one delegate. And then we have the federal collective, which is some kind of national collective similarity. And here's the coordinating collective. Sorry for my handwriting. So I would like to have the finances here on the national or regional level, because then the communication is easier, and local activities and local meetups can be financed much easier, because in Leipzig we really had problems with the intransparency. And also the federal collectives should bring account to the federal DM councils, so that there is some kind of checks and balances system as we have on this side on the European level. And of course, there is the Advisory Council and the International Progressive. And we have this assembly, which is kind of a festival or something, workshops and so on, which gives the big guidelines for both of this. And both of this would be elected through all member votes. And the members of the coordinating collective should be part of the, should be formed by the federal collectives. And so here are all the delegates from every DSC in the whole of Europe, which can also change, so it's not exactly every time the same person, but it should be like in person, I would say. So this is my idea. I hope you understand, because so this is the first idea on a sheet of paper we just developed in this workshop. And I want to start a discussion with the local DSCs in every European country and internationally. And then the goal would be to discuss it on the assembly in September, I think, to do an all-member vote on that and just change it so that we have this topic no longer be discussed and can concentrate on the real topics, because it's nowadays it's just too important in the real life politics to, it's just too important times to further discuss our internal democracy transparency issues. We should just talk with everybody and find somehow some kind of council system, parliamentary system, so everybody decides on our policies in this council, and the federal collective and the coordinating collective is only there for coordinating and for doing public relations and building alliances on higher levels, so on. Yeah. So I hope I don't speak too long.
No,
yeah.
Great.
Sorry.
That's a great picture you made there. Did you just draw this?
Yeah, just like 5 minutes before we start.
Great. We need this energy, definitely.
Okay.
Now, Ioannis makes a good point on the chat that there, in all the votes, there should be a blank choice. And people should vote blank, and that should also be recorded in future votes. Now, we have a question from YouTube about electoral wings. Where is it? So what role should the electoral wings play at the national level? So what are your thoughts on this?
Sorry, who's speaking now?
Start.
Okay. So I would like to not have DM25 on the electoral sheet of paper, but just with another name and together with other movements, because we aren't a party, but we want to have our voices in the parliaments. I think this is important. We shouldn't stay out of it. But it's just too confusing, like we saw in the European elections, when we have European Spring, we have DM25, we have Demokratie in Europa, and this is just too confusing for the voters. And so I would say that we just should not put our, and also because we have this discussion if it's a good idea of being a party or a movement, when we have this compromise of not having our name on these electoral lists, then we could just give us a name. For example, we discussed in Germany about the about being the progressive for future, and then joining with some other parties, small parties and movements to just pass our 5%, how do you say it in English? I'm not sure, but like having higher percentages if we just
okay,
come together. Yep. So
people asking from YouTube to publish that paper you had. So Simona, what do you think the role of electoral wings should be? Simona, I don't think we can. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
It should be the role of a party. I think we should. We had a long discussion about creating electoral wings and taking part to elections, and I think we should have another discussion now on whether to pursue, to continue on this path or not. But at present, having our electoral wings, I think the most important thing is that they should be under DM control, which means national parties under a transnational control, with a transnational scope and transnational issues. There should really be branches of our movement, of a transnational reality.
So do you think that currently they are not?
Of Italian electoral wing risks not to be. We have many issues in Italy in this moment about the electoral wing. In my opinion, we care too much of taking part to elections, and we don't see taking part to elections just as a tool for our goals, but like if it were a goal in itself. And we risk sometimes to put our program on the background instead of using elections to make it known as much as possible. So the role is not necessarily to take DM to the ballots. The role is to take our agenda to the ballots, and moreover to take our agenda to the people through electoral campaigns.
Alex, what do you think?
Well, basically, I think that our election wings or parties like Mera25 and others are indeed part of DM, and of course, I don't see why we shouldn't move that forward and push it up a notch, especially in those countries that are in EU but don't have our election wings over there, or in countries that are generally part of EU but don't have parties. For example, I mentioned Baltic republics, I mentioned Ukraine, different cases, and great part of the Balkans. So yes, in some cases, if it occurs, we need more election wings, because I think this is the only way that we could make the change. Of course, coalitions, of course, with other progressives and left wings, but as much we need to have as much our election wings as we can possibly have in Europe. So I completely agree with it.
Okay. So do you think that DM should steer more into a party rather than a movement?
I think that one thing isn't against the other. I think these two things are basically entwined. So if you want to have a party, you can have a party, or if you don't, you remain in the movement. It has worked up until now, and it will work afterwards. But main problem really is not party or movement. Main problem is, let me give you an example. UK has UK Labour, 500k people, 500,000 members, and they have trouble with changing Europe, with changing UK. We have 130,000 members, and only 6,000 of them are active, and we want to change the Europe. So yes, we have to raise the numbers too. Thank you.
Okay, great. Nicolas.
We're going through a very interesting experience, something which has never been done. If you see the experience of the left party through the 20th century, they always have been national parties. They had international, they had links, they exchanged ideas and so on, but always there was a debate about who is controlling the MPs and who's controlling the national parties. And currently, now we have MPs in Greece, and I hope we have MPs in other countries as soon as possible. We are going through a process of the whole movement controlling what are doing the MPs in one country. This is the very beginning. Currently, this is one small step, is that on our forum, there is a possibility, an opportunity to propose something to our MPs. We still wait for the answer. We wait, but this is the very beginning to see how it will work really. But clearly, we got an opportunity to do something very new. It will be harder when we'll have members of local parliament or local assemblies. It will be very, very difficult. We have to invent new process, new methods to organize this.
Like, for example?
I think we have to have clear charters of what we can do or not. Currently, we have a debate in our DSC because there is a local election and we don't know clearly what we can do, what we can't do. There is always a debate about this, how we must refer to the whole movement and what we can do very locally. We must be more clear about this, for there is no question we can go for it. I think this is one of the weaknesses of Gen 25. When we have debates, votes, internal votes about one election, it's very, very late. Currently in France, we have local election in a few months and we didn't have voted. But everyone, every political analyst tells us that if you want to prepare a local election, you need 2 years. We should have voted 1 year ago about this local election. I had a look about the electoral schedule for the next 2 years in Europe. There is plenty of election, local election, federal election, national election, every level. Every year there is tens of elections, and we should be in all of this. It doesn't mean that Gen 25 must be only a political party. I think the idea of being both a party of the movement is very important. But when we think about electoral rings, one of the tasks, and the CC should have the word about it, should be to organize a very long schedule. We must know our strategy in every country for the next 2 or 3 years. What election are we able to take part? What will be our strategy? It's not 6 months before or 3 months before. It's 2 years before. If we want to plan to have a stronger power in 25, as it's our name, we must see long away. I think this is a very important task for the CC and for all the NCs as well.
Okay, thanks. That's a great point. Ioannis,
Yes. Beginning against the electoral wings and the political party, DMS political party, because I think that this moved us away from our initial task. I think we had to, we made, of course, some decisions, and we have to be brave to assess if this has helped us. I think that we have to accept, to recognize that it was against our major aim to democratize Europe, because now we have a party against all the others. Instead of getting all the Democrats in our idea to democratize Europe, we are taking the role of one party or some party. We say that we are a party of the workers, we are the Green Party, but not, we are not the Green Party because the Green Party says something else. And these excuses for failing to do what we have started for. And I think I don't want to be unfair with Varoufakis, but because he had a huge and unfair personal fight from Europe, from the institutions, and but I think that he, because of his needs to be recognized again, he moved the movement to become a party. At the end, he succeeded to be re-elected in Greece. But this thing to save Greece from the debt is something totally different from Europe. We may decide as Europeans democratically to destroy Greece,
so
if
you
we
are
decide, or to destroy the planet democratically. We want to fire all of it. If it is democratic,
so Ioannis,
of course I don't support
you
this.
argue that DiEM25 and Mera25 in Greece is very person-centered and not so much movement-based centered?
Yes, of course, because all the decisions were made not a democratic base. I think DM should be aware of this. And I said, in Europe, DMers have voted that the members in Greece will manage the selection of the candidates. But in the Greek text, it's clearly written that the office, the central office, I don't know how exactly it was written, will make the selection, and Varoufakis make the selection with people around him. And the selection was done with people that have just appeared. Most of them were not even members of DM or of Mera when they started. I am from the initial 250 members of Mera 25, and I was not chosen to be a candidate. I don't know if it is for my opinions or they lost my application, and nobody is answering it. But it's not a personal issue. The point is that we made a party to save Greece. And of course, a second task to save the planet. This is not to save Europe from their democratic procedure that is following the lobbies and things like this. I'm not in favor of make DM a lobby. I'm in favor of creating a democratic Europe with the institutions, a true, I don't know if it will be representative democracy with the parliament or if it will be a more direct democracy or whatever we will decide. But we have to democratize Europe. We have to raise this issue, to make parties. I think we are failing because we are fighting all the others and we are less than 3%. We failed. If we have succeeded to make 50%, then congratulations to everybody that thought of this. We wished that we succeed, but we didn't. We failed.
I think we have like 5 more minutes left. So I would ask for 1 or 2 minutes for each candidate with some closing thoughts, statements.
Can I interrupt a second? Because we spoke about democracy, but there's one point we didn't address at all, and it is the role of the ex officio. Many people have raised the issue saying that actually, even if we democratize the rules within DM25 and have a more transparent CC and so on, that doesn't address the issue of the ex officio who are not elected by the movement, who are playing a very important role and who actually are not accountable. Just one example, one of those ex officios has recently decided that the French NC should have elections in August, where none of the French people are around. And that is something which is troubling, obviously, a lot of people. And I'd like to know how the candidates see the role of the ex officio, whether they should follow actually what the members want, or whether the members have to follow what the ex officios who have never been elected decide, and how we can potentially address this issue and maybe change things.
Well, should I start?
I think we have to be brave.
Be brief.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. I think that it's important that the ex officios don't decide on their own or anything. I also think that the coordinating collective shouldn't do policies or organizing stuff on their own, like policy regarding. And so that's my opinion. So I should be brief. So they are not elected, and they should only like support our movement. They're only there to support us to do our like little tasks to keep us going, but they shouldn't. I'm not really sure about the French thing, but
okay, because we are at 2 hours now, let's go with some closing statements. Please be brief. Alex, do you want to start?
Closing statement about ex officios, or about a closing statement as in general?
As a whole.
As a whole. Okay, so my final message is this. I will try in my best of abilities to make the new pillar possible. The new pillar, considering geopolitics, it is considering both military questions and both diplomatic questions and both relations within Europe and with other continents within the whole world. But basically, I'm not trying to say that I will make policies as a member of CC. I don't have a right to do so. I will facilitate that. I would like to help that become the part of our program, and I will try to tell you one more thing also about ex officios, and this is that democracy comes with responsibility. So ex officios need to have more help and more people who will work along with them. If you have just one person doing many things can be broken. So basically, it is also the essence of the democracy. If you want to change ex officios or to make them better, volunteer to be part of their team or of any CC's team, because without you, basically, we are lost. Thank you.
That's a great point. Nicolas.
For the final word, I will put one again time emphasis about we need to organize our members. We need to organize our very strong base of membership to make them activists. And we must first enlarge our social base, change, if possible, our social base to become a popular party, a popular movement around Europe. And I will say, because it's very, very important, and it has risen a lot of discussion during the course of the elections, we must empower our Roman members to make them roles in our organization to make them able to be at every position in our organization without problem, without lack of confidence. So it's very important. We must empower women, and we must be a feminist movement.
Simona?
Oh, I totally agree with what Aleksandar said, and I don't think ex officios take any decisions on themselves. It's always doing what the CC asks.
Okay, Ioannis.
I think that ex officios were needed from the beginning to organize DM in the initial phase, and the way that I think that they act maybe is against our democratic structures. Maybe in the future will be appointed by the CC, and maybe something. They are like secretaries, I think, of the CC or something like this. So I don't think that this situation now is really democratic, because they participate in the decisions, and they influence because they are full-time and paid for this, and so
Okay. And what,
so on.
in 30 seconds, what are your last statements, your closing remarks?
My last statement is that because I also come from the armed forces, so I don't say that I disagree for any European party to have a strong international policy and military or whatever maybe somebody thinks. But before deciding something in DM, we have to merge it with what contributes to democracy in Europe. Whatever we think, even for farming, what is our choice more democratic or contributing to democracy in Europe with the opinion of the socialists or for the Greens or whatever else? We shouldn't change, we shouldn't take the position of a party against the others. So if we think that we need more military structure or whatever in Europe, we have to make a political party with this purpose. DM is for democratizing Europe and giving power to the citizens. And we have to act from inside our movement, because we cannot implement something, we don't do it now. We cannot show to Europe what is democracy if we don't have democracy inside our organization. This should be our main task as CC.
And
thank you.
Rosanna, you have the last word.
Okay, so thank you for listening. I would just say that when I'm in the CC, I would really like to empower women in our movements and empower also our grassroots activists, which are like the basis of our work. And without them, we're not able to do anything. Also, we have to therefore change the operating principles to empower them. And like what I would like to have DM to do is by joining the climate movement and with our Green New Deal, we are part of the start of an anti-capitalist revolution. I think that is like should be now in the next 1 or 2 years. We see that this movements get stronger and stronger, and we should just empower this movement by bringing them our Green New Deal. I think they are waiting for us. And also, I wanted to say that you can always contact me via mail. I would love to have a Zoom call with you as a DSC or as members, because then I can also hear from you, your thoughts and so on. I think it's important. And that's what I just wanted to say.
Great. I would like to thank you all. Emma, do you want to add something?
No, I want to thank you, all of you, and you also for organizing this call. I think it's very useful to listen to the candidates and hear really live what they have to say and the issues they want to address. Thanks a lot to all of you.
And we should also thank the 20 or more people that are behind the scenes and helped this debate take place from all over the world, actually. We have another sorry, I shouldn't use that word, another Isegoria session coming up on Sunday. I think we heard the candidates' perspectives and presented their vision on where DiEM25 is going, and I think viewers can now draw their conclusions. And we would like to thank also all those who joined on Zoom or Telegram. And thanks again.
I just wanted to make my declaration.
Oh, you
Sorry.
didn't? Okay, sorry.
I know I didn't, but not so important. Just I think DiEM should not just join other movements. We should take the lead of the struggles all over Europe because we have the forces and the intelligence to do it, and we have a strong proposal that is what Europeans and the world need.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone. And
thank you.
Hope we'll see you on the CC, all of you, and the next ones. Okay, bye.
Okay. Bye. Carpe diem.
Carpe diem.
Carpe diem.